deep in the quiet zone of the galaxy, far away from trading routes and known colonies, there was a place called the Galactic Council Station 9. It floated in space like a silent stone, surrounded by dark stars. Inside, hundreds of alien species worked together. They monitored planets, life forms, and dangerous systems. Everything was calm until today. Milky Way, the warning signal. A sudden alarm broke the silence. Unknown transmission received, the system announced. The room turned bright red. All movement stopped. Every alien in the control room turned toward the main screen. One of them, a senior officer named Zorith, stepped forward. His body was tall and covered in blue armored skin. His voice was deep and careful. "Where is it coming from?" he asked. A technician replied quickly. "Unknown origin, but it is very old signal pattern. It is repeating again and again." The screen flickered. A broken message appeared. "We are still here. We need help. Earth is collapsing." The room went silent. Then one scientist whispered, "Earth that is classified as a death world." Skull the word death world. The word itself made everyone uneasy. A death world was not just dangerous. It was worse. It was a planet where survival was almost impossible. Storms that could tear mountains apart. Creatures that could kill in seconds. Poison in air, water, and soil. Unstable land that constantly changed. Most species avoided such worlds completely. Even advanced civilizations never tried to live there. Zorith looked at the message again. "Earth is supposed to be empty," he said. "No intelligent life should survive there." Another officer replied nervously. "Then who sent the signal?" No one answered. "Satellite antenna, the distress signal strengthens." The message repeated again, but stronger this time. "Help! We are out of time. They are coming. Please." The signal was broken, filled with noise, but the fear in it was clear. One alien analyst quickly checked records. His hands trembled. According to old archives, Earth was marked as abandoned thousands of cycles ago. Zorith frowned. "Abandoned?" "Yes," the analyst said. "It was considered too unstable, too dangerous. No council species ever colonized it." Another officer stepped forward. "But this message is new, not ancient." The analyst nodded. "That means someone is still alive on Earth." A heavy silence fell again. Brain the impossible theory. The council was now fully awake. Every screen in the room started showing Earth's profile. A red warning label appeared. Planet class, Death World, extreme level. Status, unsuitable for life. Zorith stared at it. "This cannot be correct," he said firmly. A young researcher spoke carefully. "Commander, there is something else." "Speak." "We have detected biological signals from Earth." The room froze again. The researcher continued. "Not just one, millions of signals. Possibly billions." Zorith's eyes narrowed. "That is impossible." Another officer added, "If Earth is truly a death world, no complex life should exist there." The researcher lowered his voice. "But life is there." The silence became heavier. Globe showing Europe, Africa, Earth's secret. The council decided to access deeper scans. A hidden archive opened. Old, damaged data appeared on the screen. It showed Earth's surface. Mountains, oceans, storms, fire zones, frozen wastelands. But something else was visible too. Cities. Large, glowing cities filled with movement. Zorith leaned forward. "What are those structures?" A technician answered slowly. "Artificial habitats, built by intelligent beings." Everyone looked at each other. "So Earth has life," Zorith said. "Yes," the technician replied. "But that is not the strange part." "Then what is—" The technician zoomed in. The images became clearer. Creatures were moving across the surface. They stood upright. They built machines. They fought storms. They repaired cities after destruction. Zorith whispered, "Those are not just survivors." A scientist completed the sentence. "Those are builders." Warning the first shock. Suddenly, a second transmission came. This one was clearer. A human voice. "Weak, but steady. This is Earth Defense Relay. We are still holding, but not for long." The council froze again. Zorth stepped closer to the screen. Identify source. The technician checked quickly. It is coming from the surface of Earth. So they are alive, Zorth said slowly. Yes. Another message followed immediately. Do not come here. It is not safe, we repeat. Do not come. The signal broke again. Static filled the room. Fearful faced the fear behind the message. Zorth was not confused anymore. He was concerned. Why would they warn us not to come? He asked. A scientist replied. Maybe they fear contamination. Another officer disagreed. Or maybe they fear being discovered. Silence again. The idea was disturbing. If a species lived on a death world, why would they hide? Unless they did not want help. Or worse, they did not need it. Magnifying glass tilted left the first investigation order. Zorth turned toward the command panel. His voice was serious. Launch observation drones. Silent mode. No detection. All officers looked shocked. One of them said, Commander, if Earth is unstable. Zorth interrupted. That is exactly why we must look. The order was final. Drones were activated. Thousands of small machines moved silently into warp space, heading toward Earth. New Moon final moment of Part 1. As the drones left, the control room became quiet again. The broken human message was still repeating in the background. We are still here. Please do not come. Zorth looked at the screen one last time. His voice was low. If they're alive on a death world. He paused. Then we may have misunderstood Earth completely. The lights dimmed. The drones disappeared into the dark space. And far away, on a small blue planet, humanity continued to survive, not knowing that the galaxy had finally started watching them. Far away from Earth, the Galactic Council station, 9 remained in a state of silent tension. The observation drones had been sent. Now, everyone waited. No one spoke much. Even the usual noise of control systems felt too loud, because something about Earth did not feel normal anymore. Satellite the drones arrive. After long space travel, the first observation drones reached Earth orbit. They stopped at a safe distance. Silent, invisible, waiting for command. Inside the control room, Zorth gave a simple order. Activate visual feed. The main screen turned on. At first, only darkness appeared. Then slowly, Earth came into view. A blue planet. Beautiful, calm, almost peaceful. One officer whispered, "This is a death world." No one answered, because the answer did not match what they were seeing. Globe showing Europe, Africa, the false calm. The drone scanned the surface. Clouds moved slowly. Oceans reflected sunlight. Forests stretched across continents. From a distance, Earth looked normal, even safe. But Zorth was not relaxed. "Increase zoom," he ordered. The image shifted. Cities appeared. Huge human cities. Tall structures of metal and glass. Vehicles moving in strange patterns. Artificial lights glowing even in daylight. A technician said, "They're highly advanced, but still primitive compared to us." Another officer replied, "Primitive civilizations do not survive death world conditions." That sentence changed the mood again, warning the first disturbance. Suddenly, one drone lost signal. A red warning appeared. Unit 07, connection lost. Zorth's eyes narrowed. What happened? The technician checked fast. "I don't know, it just disappeared." Another drone near it sent partial data. The screen showed a fast-moving storm. But this was no normal storm. Wind speeds were extreme. Lightning struck continuously. The sky itself looked angry. Then the feed cut again. Silence. Zorth spoke slowly. "Is that normal Earth weather?" The analyst hesitated. "No, Commander. That is not survivable weather." Tornado Earth violence. The drones continued scanning. They moved over different regions. Each region showed something dangerous. Mountains that shook without warning. Oceans that rose like walls. Deserts that burned under extreme heat. Frozen lands where nothing should survive. One officer said, "No single species should exist in all these environments." Another replied, "But something does." The room became still again, because now they saw movement. The first human sighting. A drone zoomed into a forest region. At first, it looked empty, then something moved. A figure, bipedal, standing upright. It walked through dense forest without fear. Zorth leaned forward. Identify life form. The technician zoomed in further. The figure was human, carrying tools, moving with purpose. No fear in their movement, just focus. Another human appeared nearby. Then another. They were building something. A structure. Zorth whispered, "They are working in a Deathworld forest?" A scientist nodded slowly. Yes. No one spoke after that. Wrenched the strange behavior. The drones watched humans closely. Something was unusual. Humans were not avoiding danger. They were entering it. One group was near a river. Suddenly, water level rose violently. A flash flood. The river turned into a fast-moving wall. Any normal species would run. But humans reacted differently. They moved quickly, coordinated, pulled equipment, built barriers in seconds. They did not panic. They adapted. Zorth said quietly, "They treat disaster like a routine event." Another officer replied, "That is impossible behavior for a weak species." Skull the Deathworld proof. The council needed proof. So they activated full environmental analysis. Results came instantly. The analyst read the report aloud. Earth gravity, unstable zones. Atmospheric pressure, unpredictable. Biological threats, extreme. Natural disasters per cycle, extremely high. He paused, then added, survival probability for alien species, near zero. Zorth looked at the screen. And humans? The analyst hesitated. No data supports their survival, and yet they exist. That sentence felt heavy, because it broke logic itself. Brain the human pattern. More drone footage arrived. Now analysts noticed something strange. Humans were not just surviving, they were improving. After every disaster, cities were rebuilt, stronger systems became more efficient, technology advanced faster. It was like Earth itself was training them. One scientist said, "It is like they are learning from pain." Another replied, "No, it is like they are designed to learn from pain." Zorth frowned. "Explain." The scientist said, "Every danger forces adaptation. Every failure creates improvement." Silence followed. Then Zorth said slowly, "So Earth is not killing them." He paused. "It is shaping them." Satellite antenna, the second human message. Suddenly, another signal appeared, clearer than before. A human transmission. "If you are watching, do not interfere." The council froze. The voice continued. "Earth is not safe for outsiders. It never was." Zorth stepped closer. "Are they aware of us?" The technician checked. No detection of our drones. The message continued. "We survived because we had no choice." Then static returned. Fearful faced the unsettling realization. A junior officer spoke carefully. "Commander, what if they are not warning us out of fear?" Zorth looked at him. "What do you mean?" The officer swallowed. "What if they are warning us because we would not survive there?" Silence filled the room. No one responded immediately because the idea was too strange. Aliens afraid of humans. Not because humans were strong in space, but because Earth had already made them something else. DNA, the evolution theory. The scientist reopened Earth data. He pointed at the screen. "We see repeated survival cycles." "What cycles?" Zorth asked. "Disasters, recovery, growth, repeat." He zoomed in on human cities over time. Older ruins, then rebuilt cities on top of them, then stronger versions again. It was constant rebuilding, constant evolution. The scientist said, "If a species grows only through survival pressure." He paused. "Then Earth is not a home." He looked at Zorth. "It is a forge." High voltage, the final observation. The drones moved again, now over a mountain range. A human settlement was there, but something new appeared. A large structure, not defensive, not simple. It looked like a launch facility. Vehicles were rising into the sky. Rockets, human spacecraft. Zorth's eyes widened. "They are leaving the planet." A technician confirmed. "Yes, but slowly, controlled expansion." Zorth said softly. So they are not trapped. A pause. They're expanding. The Galactic Council Station 9 was no longer calm. The data from Earth had changed everything. What they thought was a simple Deathworld investigation had become something far more serious. Now, every officer in the room understood one thing. Earth was not just alive. Earth was producing something. Something they did not understand yet. Globe showing Europe, Africa. The shift in perspective. Zora stood in front of the main screen. Earth still looked blue and calm from space. But after the drone reports, no one trusted that appearance anymore. He spoke quietly. Show all human activity clusters. The technician responded. Yes, Commander. The screen changed. Hundreds of glowing points appeared. Cities, factories, research centers, spaceports, human settlements spread across the planet like a network of light. One officer whispered, "They are everywhere." Another replied, "Not just everywhere, organized everywhere." That was the difference. Earth was not chaotic. It was structured chaos. Building construction, the human pattern of building. The drones continued sending updates. What they found was unusual. Humans did not stay in one form of survival. They evolved their environment constantly. When forests became dangerous, they built protective zones. When oceans flooded, they built floating cities. When land collapsed, they rebuilt on higher ground. They never stopped building. One scientist said, "It is like they refuse to accept defeat." Another replied, "No, it is worse." He looked at the screen. "It is like they treat defeat as input." Zorth turned. "Explain." The scientist pointed. "Every disaster changes them. Every loss improves them. They do not repeat mistakes. They convert mistakes into upgrades." Silence filled the room. Because no known species behave like this. Warning, the second wave of data. Then another report arrived. A drone near a desert region had captured something new. A human facility. But this one was different. It was not a city. It was a training ground. Humans were inside it, but they were not building houses or machines. They were training themselves. Running. Fighting. Adapting. Under controlled danger conditions. Zorth leaned forward. "What are they doing there?" The technician answered carefully. "It appears they are simulating survival disasters." A pause. Another officer asked, "Simulating?" "Yes," the technician said. "Storm conditions, collapse scenarios, isolation drills." Zorth frowned. "So they are practicing survival inside survival conditions?" The scientist nodded. "Yes." Silence again, because it meant something disturbing. Humans were not just surviving Earth. They were preparing for worse versions of Earth. Brain, the human mindset. The council requested psychological analysis. The AI system studied human behavior patterns. The result appeared on screen. Human core behavior, adaptive endurance, primary drive, continuous improvement under pressure, failure response, rebuild and repeat with improvement. Zorth read it twice. Then he asked, "What does this mean in simple terms?" The analyst replied, "It means humans do not avoid suffering." A pause. "They use it." Another officer spoke softly. "That is not normal biology." The analyst nodded. "Correct. It is not normal survival behavior either." Zorth leaned back slightly. "So Earth is shaping them into something else." The scientist responded, "Yes." Milky Way, the first sign of expansion. Then the drones reported something new. A human object leaving Earth's atmosphere. It was not small. It was large. A spacecraft. But unlike earlier ones, this was not experimental. It was operational. It carried humans, and it was heading deeper into space. Zorth ordered, "Track it." The technician followed it. "It is leaving Earth orbit. Destination? Unknown, but it is not random." The scientist examined trajectory data. "It is directed." Zorth narrowed his eyes. "Where?" A pause. Then the answer came. "Toward deep space exploration lanes." Silence filled the room. Humans were not just surviving Earth anymore. They were leaving it. On purpose. Skull the warning signal inside human code. Another transmission was detected. But this one was not from a human voice. It was embedded in machine code, a repeating phrase. Do not assume we are safe. Zorth read it carefully. This is not a warning to us, he said slowly. A technician asked, Then who is it for? Zorth replied, Anyone who thinks Earth is harmless. The scientist added, Or anyone who thinks humans are weak. That sentence changed the room again, because it suggested awareness. Humans knew how others might perceive them, and they were correcting that perception. High voltage, the incident in the ocean zone. The drones then recorded a major event. A coastal human city was struck by a massive underwater earthquake. The ocean rose instantly. Tsunami-level waves formed. Entire coastlines were threatened. The council expected collapse. But what happened next shocked them. Humans responded immediately. Emergency systems activated. Cities lifted flood barriers. Mass evacuation protocols started in seconds. Aircraft launched. Underground shelters opened. But the most shocking part was not the survival. It was the speed. Zorth said quietly. They prepared for this before it happened. The analyst confirmed. Yes, their systems reacted faster than natural event progression. Another officer whispered, so they expected it. The scientist replied, No, they expect everything. DNA, the stronger generation theory. A new theory was proposed. The scientist presented it carefully. Every generation of humans is stronger than the previous one. Zorth frowned. That is not unusual. The scientist shook his head. This is different. He pointed at data. They are not just inheriting strength. They are rebuilding themselves socially, physically, and mentally every cycle. Another officer asked, How? The scientist replied, Through controlled pressure environments, education systems, survival exposure, technological dependence testing. Zorth understood slowly. They are designing their own evolution. The scientist nodded. Yes. New moon the silence before the storm. The drones kept watching Earth. But now the council was not just observing. They were analyzing fearfully, because every new discovery made Earth less predictable. Then a final report arrived. A deep space human signal had been intercepted. It was short. Only one line. We are not done yet. Zorth stared at it. What does that mean? No one answered immediately, because there were too many possibilities. Finally, the scientist said softly, It means they are still becoming something. The Galactic Council Station 9 had changed completely. What started as a simple investigation into a strange distress signal had now become the most important observation in Council history. No one called Earth a death world casually anymore. Now they called it something else, a self-evolving world. And humanity was no longer a mystery. It was a question no one wanted answered too fast. Milky Way, the shift in silence. Zorth stood alone in front of the main observation screen. Earth still rotated peacefully in space. Blue oceans, white clouds, green land. From a distance, it still looked calm, but the council no longer believed appearances. Behind that calm surface was something that had survived storms, disasters, pressure, extinction-level events, and still continued to grow. A technician broke the silence. Commander, all drones are still active. Zorth nodded. Good. Show final global status. The screen updated. Human civilization maps appeared. But something was different now. New data layers had formed. Space activity. Off-world signals. Interstellar communication attempts. Zorth's eyes narrowed. They are no longer just on Earth. A scientist completed the thought quietly. They are becoming a space species. Rocket, the first human message with clarity. Then it happened. A new signal arrived. Not broken. Not weak. Clear. Direct. Every alien in the room froze as translation systems activated. A human voice spoke. To whoever is watching us. Silence deepened. Zorth leaned forward. The voice continued. We know you are there. A few officers stepped back instinctively. The scientist whispered. They detected us. But Zorth raised a hand. Continue. The message went on. You have been observing Earth for a long time. We allowed it. The room turned cold. An officer asked nervously. Allowed it? Zorth did not respond. The voice continued. Earth is not hidden. It is tested. A pause. Then the final line. Now we are ready to leave it. The transmission ended. Silence returned. But it was no longer calm silence. It was heavy, warning the realization that changed everything. The council began immediate emergency discussion. One officer spoke first. They knew about the drones the entire time. Another added, and they did nothing to stop us. Zora stood still. His mind was calculating. Then he said slowly, "No." Everyone turned to him. They did not stop us because they did not care. A pause. They were watching how we watched them. The scientists slowly understood. You mean it was mutual observation? Zorth nodded. Yes. The room became even quieter, because that meant one terrifying thing. Earth was not passive. Earth was aware. Globe showing Europe, Africa, humanity's true design. The scientists reopened all collected data. Now the pattern was clear. Earth was not simply a survival planet. It was a development system. Every disaster created intelligence growth. Every crisis increased coordination. Every loss improved technology. The scientists said, they never built a perfect world. Zorth replied, they built a stronger one each time. A junior officer asked, but why? The scientist answered slowly, because perfection does not evolve. A pause. Only pressure creates progress. Zorth looked at Earth again. So they chose pressure. The scientist nodded. Yes. Brain, the human message behind everything. Another analysis was displayed. All human transmissions, behavior, and survival patterns were combined. The AI generated a summary. Human civilization core principle. If a condition does not kill you, IT teaches you. Zorth read it carefully, then said, they turn suffering into education. The scientist added, and Earth is her classroom. A long silence followed, because it changed everything. Earth was not a prison, not a mistake, not even a death world. It was a training ground, and humanity was graduating. Skull, the final human expansion. The council then received final drone footage. The spacecraft launched earlier was now far beyond Earth. But it was not alone anymore. More ships were launching, larger ones, faster ones, coordinated fleets. Humanity was expanding into space. But something unusual was noticed. They were not exploring randomly. They were moving with purpose, a direction. Zorth asked, where are they going? The technician analyzed trajectory data, then answered slowly. It appears they are moving toward council control regions. The room froze. One officer whispered, toward us? Zorth did not respond immediately, because the answer was already forming in his mind. Yes, Milky Way, the last warning from Earth. Then the final transmission arrived. It was not a warning. It was not a request. It was a statement. A human voice spoke calmly. We are not your experiment anymore. A pause. We are your consequence of observation. Silence. Then the final line. And now we understand a galaxy. The signal ended. No static. No distortion. Just silence. High voltage the moment everything changed. Zorth looked at the screen. Earth. Human ships. Expanding fleet. Growing civilization. Then he said something no one expected. Stop all drones. The technician froze. Commander? Zorth repeated firmly. Stop all observation. The officer hesitated. Why? Zorth turned slowly, because for the first time, he understood. We are not studying them anymore. A pause. They are no longer below us. He looked at Earth again. They have finished growing inside their world. Another pause. And now they are entering ours. New moon final scene. Earth looks back. Far away on Earth, human ships move through space. Inside one of them, a human commander looked at a distant star map. He spoke softly. They were watching us for a long time. Another human replied, yes. A pause. Do you think they understand us now? The commander smiled slightly. No. He looked at the stars. They think they were watching Earth. A pause. But Earth was never the point. He activated the navigation system. Let's show them what are created. Milky Way, end of story. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and support us. It really helps us grow and bring more videos like this. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.